Preface of the Sentimental Songbook by Julia A. Moore. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Wilson. Preface. This little book is composed of truthful pieces. All those which speak of being killed, died, or drowned are truthful songs. Others are more truth than poetry. They are all composed by the author. I was born in Plainfield and lived there until I was 10 years of age. Then my parents moved to Algoma, where they have lived until the present day, and I lived near them 1 mile west of Edgerton. Julia A. Moore. End of preface.
The Author's Early Life by Unknown. Read by the Story Girl. I will write a sketch of my early life. It will be of childhood day, and all who chance to read it, no criticism, pray. My childhood days were happy, and it fills my heart with woe to muse o'er the days that have passed by and the scenes of long ago. In the days of my early childhood, Kent County was quite wild, especially the towns I lived in when I was a little child. I will not speak of my birthplace, for if you will only look o'er the little poem, My Childhood Days, that is in this little book. I am not ashamed of my birthright, though it was of poor estate. Many a poor person in our land has risen to be great. My parents were poor, I know, kind friends, but that is no disgrace. They were honorable and respected throughout my native place. My mother was an invalid, and was for many a year, and I, being the eldest daughter, her life I had to cheer. I had 2 little sisters, and a brother, which made 3, and dear mother, being sickly, their care it fell on me. My parents moved to Algoma near 23 years ago, and bought 100 acres of land. That's a good-sized farm, you know. It was then a wilderness, with tall forest trees abound, and it was 4 miles from a village or any other town. And it was 2 miles from a schoolhouse. That's the distance I had to go, and how many times I traveled through summer suns and winter snow. How well do I remember going to school many a morn, both in summer and in winter, through many a heavy storm. My heart was gay and happy. This was ever in my mind. There is better times a-coming, and I hope some day to find myself capable of composing. It was my heart's delight to compose on a sentimental subject, if it came in my mind just right. If I went to school half the time, it was all that I could do. It seems very strange to me sometimes, and it may seem strange to you. It was natural for me to compose and put words into rhyme, and the success of my first work is this little songbook of mine. My childhood days have passed and gone, and it fills my heart with pain to think that youth will never more return to me again. And now, kind friends, what I have wrote, I hope you will pass o'er, and not criticize, as some have done, hitherto here before. End of poem. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain.
Centennial by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Come all ye friends of liberty, who love our good old nation. Let hands and hearts united be, and beat the wide creation. For this is our centennial year, the birthday of our nation. For it is just 100 years that stood our good old nation. Centennial, centennial, hurrah to the centennial! And many, many people gone to our national centennial. To Philadelphia people went, and more was sure to go, sir. They say there was things to be seen of 100 years ago, sir. Come all ye sons of liberty, that love our good old nation. Unite and keep our country free, and the stars and stripes a-waving. Centennial, centennial, hurrah to the centennial! And many, many people gone to our national centennial. The Revolutionary War was fought to gain our independence, that we, a nation great may be, both free and independent. They fought the British, far and near, for freedom, and they gained it. In centennial years of Jubilee, let Columbia's sons maintain it. Centennial, centennial, hurrah to the centennial! And many, many people gone to our national centennial.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
John Robinson by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Michele Fry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Come listen, friends, and hear a song. It is a doleful one. About a young man dead and gone. He died far away from home. John Robinson, this young man's name, his age I cannot tell, and he was loved by all his friends, and he was known full well. His father and mother being dead, it left him an orphan boy. When he was with his brother, his health failed him, poor boy. Kind friends, they thought 'twould do him good to travel for his health. To California he did go, with his Uncle Zera French. He was not gone but a short time, when a letter his friends received. It told how homesick Johnny was, how he for home did grieve. It said that he was getting worse, and his money was nearly gone, and if he did not soon return, never more would he see home. It said, "Dear brother, will you please some money to me send, for I fear I have not got enough to bring me back again. The doctor says I must soon return if I wish my home to see, for if I stay my life is short, for the air disagrees with me." His brother Will the letter read, it made his eyes grow dim. "Dear brother, he shall soon return, for I will go and fetch him." This brother dear was very kind. With money he went with haste, for to bring him home again, but oh, he went too late. For he was sick and very bad. Poor boy, he thought. No doubt if he came home in a smoking car, his money would hold out. He started to come back alone. He came 1/3 the way. One evening in the car alone, his spirit fled away. No friend was near to speak to him or hear his dying moan. How sad it must have been to die there all alone. No loving friends to soothe his brow or ease his weary form. Poor soul is now at rest, for his soul to heaven has gone. Telegraph dispatch was sent his friends. How sad they were to hear how their loved one died all alone in a car with no one near. The brother brought his body home to his friends that loved him best. He is sleeping in their graveyard now. Let peace be e'er his rest. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Brave Page Boys by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. In the late Rebellion War, Grand Rapids did send out as brave and noble volunteers as ever went down south. Among them were the brave page boys, 5 brothers there were in all. They enlisted and went down south to obey their country's call. John S. Page was the eldest son. He went down south afar and enlisted in the mechanics and served his time in the war. Fernando Page, the second son, served in the infantry. He was wounded, lost both his feet, on duty at Yorktown siege. Charles F. Page was a noble's son. In 64 did enlist, and in the same year he was killed in the fight of the Wilderness. This brave boy was carrying the flag to cheer his comrades on. He fought in the 8th Infantry. Now he, brave boy, is gone. 'Tis said of this brave soldier boy, 'twas just before he died, stood the flag standard in the ground, laid down by it and died. The friends that loved this noble boy, how sad were they to hear of his death on the battlefield. His age was 20 years. James B. Page was a fine young man. He went in the artillery. He served his time with all the rest to keep his country free. Enos Page, the youngest brother, his age was 14 years, made 5 sons in one family, went from Grand Rapids here. When Enos Page went from his home, he was only a boy, you know. He stole away from his mother dear, for he was bound to go. She followed him to the barracks twice, and took him home again. She found it was no use, at last, with friends let him remain. In 8 Michigan Cavalry, this boy he did enlist. His life was almost despaired of, on account of numerous fits, caused by drinking water poisoned. Effects cannot outgrow. In northern Alabama, I hear, there came this dreadful blow. How joyful were the parents of those noble soldier boys! There was one missing of the 5 when they returned from war. The one that carried the Union flag lies in a southern grave. The other brothers came back home to Grand Rapids, their native place. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Grand Rapids by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by thestorygirl. Air, bright Alpharetta. Wild roved the Indians once on the banks of Grand River, and they built their little huts down by that flowing river. In a pleasant valley fair, where flows the river rapid, an Indian village once was there, where now stands Grand Rapids. Indian girls and boys were seen, with their bow and quiver, riding in their light canoes up and down the river. Their hearts were full of joy. Happy voices singing made music with forest birds. They kept the valley ringing. Indians have left and gone beyond the Mississippi. They called the river Owashtenong, where stands this pleasant city. Louis Campo, the first white man, bought land in Grand Rapids. He lived and died, an honored man, by people of Grand Rapids. When Campo came to the valley, no bridge was across the river. Indians in their light canoes rowed them o'er the water. Railroads now from every way run through the city, Grand Rapids. The largest town in West Michigan is the city of Grand Rapids. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Temperance Reform Clubs by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy Pug. Some enterprising people in our cities and towns have gone to organising clubs of men that's fallen down, in estimation fallen low, now they may rise again, and be respected citizens throughout our native land. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. Manufacturers of strong drink can find better employ than to bring to ruin poor families and thousand souls destroy. Likewise, proprietors of saloons lose many a customer. Those men now rather stay at home, that place they now prefer. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. Don't be ashamed to wear your badge of ribbon on your breast. It shows you've joined the club to be a man among the rest. Your kindred friends will love to see you honoured, sober man, and all the friends that wish you well will help you if they can. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. Perhaps you have a mother, likewise a sister too. Perhaps you have a sweetheart that thinks the most of you. Perhaps you have a loving wife and little ones at home. Their hearts rejoice to see that you can let strong drink alone. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. Many a man joined the club that never drank a dram. Those noble men were kind and brave. They care not for the slang they meet on every side. You're a reformed drunkard too. You've joined the Red Ribbon Brigade among the drunken crew. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. It shows their hearts were very kind. They wished to save poor souls that loved the intoxication cup, that signed the temperance roll. Dear friends, ever keep rolling the work you have begun. Those noble men will not repent, I hope, throughout our land. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. Dr. Reynolds is a noble man. He has worked hard to save some people in our cities and towns from out a drunkard's grave. There is other men to help him now. He lectures not alone. Many a heart that blesses them from out now happy homes. The Temperance Reform Club for ever may it stand, and every one that loves strong drink, pray join it heart and hand. Then many a home will be bright, and many a heart made glad. It will be the greatest blessing this nation ever had. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hiram Helsel by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Michele Fry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Once was a boy aged 15 years. Hiram Helsel was his name. He was so sick 2 years or so, he has left this world of pain. His friends, they missed this lovely boy that was patient, kind, and brave. He left them all for him to mourn. He is sleeping in his grave. He was a small boy of his age. When he was 5 years or so, was shocked by lightning while to play, and it caused him not to grow. He was called Little High Helsel by all friends that knew him well. His life was sad, as you shall hear, and the truth to you I'll tell. His parents parted when he was small, and both are married again. How sad it was for them to meet and view his last remains. He was living with his father then, as many a friend can tell. 'Tis said his father's second wife, that she did not use him well. Just before little Hiram died, his uncle and aunt were there. He kissed them both, bid them farewell. They left him with a prayer. Now he is gone, oh, let him rest. His soul has found a haven, for grief and woe ne'er enters there in that place called heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Beautiful 22nd by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. To original music. The people in this nation have kept for many years February 22nd, that day we love it dear. It's our forefather's birthday, brave, noble Washington, and may we ever keep it through all the years to come. Beautiful 22nd, beautiful 22nd, may the people ever keep it. Beautiful 22nd. One of the Constitution builders was that brave noble man. He fought under that dear flag that's loved throughout our land. He went through many battles. He fought for liberty, that this glorious republic a nation great may be. Beautiful 22nd, beautiful 22nd, may the people ever keep it. Beautiful 22nd. Oh, keep the 22nd in honor to his name, who fought to gain our freedom from England's British chains. Now he is sweetly sleeping, brave noble Washington. May the people not forget him, Columbia's noblest son. Beautiful 22nd, beautiful 22nd, may the people ever keep it. Beautiful 22nd.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
William Upson by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Heir, the Major's only son. Come all good people, far and near, oh come and see what you can hear. It's of a young man, true and brave, who is now sleeping in his grave. Now William Upson was his name. If it's not that, it's all the same. He did enlist in the cruel strife, and it caused him to lose his life. He was Jesse Upson's eldest son. His father loved his noble son. This son was 19 years of age. In the rebellion he engaged. His father said that he might go, but his dear mother, she said no. Stay at home, dear Billy, she said, but oh, she could not turn his head. For go he would, and go he did. He would not do as his mother bid, for he went away down south, there where he could not have his mother's care. He went to Nashville, Tennessee, there his kind friends he could not see. He died among strangers far away, they knew not where his body lay. He was taken sick and lived 4 weeks, and oh, how his parents weep. But now they must in sorrow mourn. Billy has gone to his heaven home. If his mother could have seen her son, for she loved him, her darling one, if she could heard his dying prayer, it would ease her heart till she met him there. It would relieve his mother's heart to have seen her son from this world depart, and hear his noble words of love, as he left this world for that above. It will relieve his mother's heart that her son is laid in our graveyard. Now she knows that his grave is near, she will not shed so many tears. She knows not that it was her son, his coffin could not be opened. It might be someone in his place, for she could not see his noble face. He enrolled in 1863, the next day after Christmas Eve. He died in 1864, 23rd of March, as I was told.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dear Love, Do You Remember? By Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Cavaet. Dearest one, do you remember, as we sat side by side, how you told me that you loved me, asked me to be your bride, and you told me we'd be happy through all the years to come, if we ever would prove faithful, as in the days when we were young. Oh, how well do I remember the kind and loving words, and now as I sat dreaming, the thoughts of memory stirs. But the days have passed before me, and the scenes of long ago, but I can never forget the days that have passed o'er. Oh, how well do I remember the kind and loving words, and now as I sat dreaming, the thoughts of my memory stirs. But in the days have passed before me, and the scenes of long ago, but I can never forget the days that have passed o'er. Oh, how clearly I remember the days when we were young, how we would tell to each other of happy times to come. And as we would sit together, that dear loved one and I, oh, sat dreaming of the future and childhood days gone by. Dearest love, do you remember the first time that we met? Our youthful days have gone, love. I hope you love me yet. Now we are growing old, love. Our heads will soon be grey. May we ever love each other till from earth we pass away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hurrah for Cooper and Cary by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Erin Grassie. Air, Rally Round the Flag Boys. We will rally in the city. We will gather from the farms, shouting equalization, greenbacks, a legal tender. Then the poor will get along, the poor that dwell throughout our nation. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. It is now 100 years, or just 1 century, stood grand this good old nation, and our forefathers fought that we may not be a slave to the monarchy of England. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. Revolutionary War was fought with the British, this we hear. To make this an independent nation, we, the independent men, we will not be a slave to bondholders in our nation. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. The Republicans are for gold, and the nation as it is. Take this in consideration. In 1879, taxes must be paid in gold if Hayes and Wheeler gain election. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. The Democrats are for gold, reform, and economy. What better off will be our nation if Tilden and Hendricks, if they gain the day? Poor people will come to starvation. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. Come, freemen, now arise. Put your shoulder to the wheel this presidential election. Vote for an independent man, one in favor of greenbacks in this great financial question. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. May they keep marching on, marching with God upon the right, boys. May they conquer o'er their foes and the cursed money rings. Right will yet conquer might, boys. 3 cheers for Cooper and Cary. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! 3 cheers for our nation, in peace and in war. If it were not for our laboring men, what would our nation do? Take this in consideration. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Infant Days by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Air, the Rain upon the Roof. When I was a little infant and I lay in mother's arms, then I felt the gentle pressure of a loving mother's arms. "Go to sleep, my little baby, go to sleep," Mamma would say. "Oh, will not my little lady go to sleep for Ma today?" Oh, my parents loved me dearly, for I was their eldest born, and they always called me Julia in a mild and loving form. My parents will not forget me, though I married and left their home, for they can remember clearly how with them I once did roam. Oh, my mother, how I love her, though her head is growing gray, for in fancy I can see her bending o'er me night and day, as she did when I was little, watching me in sleep and play. Mother now is growing feeble, now I will her love repay. Oh, my father, how I love him, for he has worked hard for me, for to earn my food and clothing in my little infancy. And oh, I will not forget him while on earth I do remain. May the God of heaven bless him in this world of grief and pain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Roll on Time, Roll On by Julia A. Moore, read for LibriVox.org by Erin Grassie. Air, Roll On Silver Moon. Roll on time, roll on, as it always has done since the time this world first begun. it can never change my love that I gave a dear man. Faithful friend, I gave my heart and hand. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days. To the time of my youth, it can never turn back when I wandered with my love bright and gay. I was happy then as a girl could ever be, and live on this earth here below. I was happy as a lark, and as busy as a bee. For in fashion or in style I did not go. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days. To the time of my youth it can never turn back, when I wandered with my love bright and gay. My parents were poor, and they could not dress me so, for they had not got the money to spare. And it may be better so, for I do not think fine clothes make a person any better than they are. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days. To the time of my youth it can never turn back, when I wandered with my love bright and gay. Some people are getting so they think a poor girl, though she be bright and intelligent and gay, she must have nice clothes, or she is nothing in this world, if she is not dressed in style every day. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days. To the time of my youth it can never turn back, when I wandered with my love bright and gay. Remember never to judge people by their clothes. For our brave noble Washington said, "Honorable are rags if a true heart they enclose." And I found it was the truth when I married. Roll on, time, roll on. It can never turn back to the time of my maiden days. To the time of my youth it can never turn back, when I wandered with my love bright and gay. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Minnie's Departure by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Ayr, Mount Vernon. Dearest Minnie, she has left us in this world of grief and woe. But 'tis God that has bereft us. He called her little soul to go. Minnie's gone to dwell in heaven, where bright little angels reign. Her little soul has reached a haven where there is no grief and pain. God will bless his little treasures, one by one, that come to him. Though she has left this world forever, we will put our trust in him. Oh, we loved our little dear one, it's no human tongue can tell. God has called her to come to him, yet he doeth all things well. Oh, 'twas hard for us to leave her in her little grave so low. Leave that little silent sleeper, but 'tis there we all must go. Oh, we miss our little treasure, and her loss we deeply feel. When we think she's gone forever, tears there from our eyes will steal.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lois House by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy Pug. Come, all ye young people of every degree, come, give your attention one moment to me. It's of a young couple I now will relate, and of their misfortunes, and of their sad fate. One was a young damsel both blooming and fair, the other a young man, his beauty was rare. He loved this lady as he loved his own life. If God had not called her, he would have made her his wife. He courted her a long time in triumph and glee, but little did he think that she soon would leave him in sorrow, forsaken, alone, to mourn her departure, for she was going home. Going home to her Father that dwelleth on high, who gave her her life, and who caused her to die, and leave her true lover, one whom she could trust, to moulder her fair form a while in the dust. Lois House and Joy Morris were their names, I believe. They loved each other dearly, and never deceived. But God, he did part them, one which he laid low, the other he left with his heart full of woe. Joy laid her dying head on his bosom once more, pressed her to his heart as he had oft done before, saying, "Dear Lois, are you going to leave me? Yes, Joy, I can no longer stay here with thee." "Oh, Joy, can't you give me up, dearest?" said she. "If you will say yes, love, I can leave in peace. In heaven, love, I will be waiting for thee. Be true to our Saviour, you'll soon follow me. If I must say yes, love, for you to leave me, God will do better by you, Lois, than me. Oh, it's hard for me, dearest, hard to say yes. It leaves me alone, love, in sad woefulness. I want your picture, Joy, placed in my cold hand, and let it be buried with me in the ground. It's all I can carry with me to the grave. Grant it to me, love, it's all that I crave." They called for her father and mother most dear. She kissed them and bade them farewell through their tears. They called for her brother and sisters again, to kiss their sister while life still remain. "One kiss from you, Joy," she whispered so low that no one in the room heard her, you know. She gasped for her breath once or twice more, when, lo, her spirit left her, and Lois is no more. They placed her fair form in the coffin so cold, and placed there Joy's picture, as they had been told. They bore her to her grave, all were in sad gloom, and gently laid her down to rest in her tomb. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Brave Volunteer by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. At the time of the rebellion between the North and South, many a noble volunteer Kent County did send out. Among them was Chyler Davis, he hailed from Oakfield town. He enlisted in the service, his native land to shield. This brave and noble volunteer, he left his home and friends, for he dearly loved his country. He went from Michigan, not thinking when he went down south, the federal ranks to fill, that he would lay in prisons Belle Isle to Andersonville. In prison cells lamenting, for 17 months he lay, thinking of the dear ones at home so far away. He lay in prison suffering, no friend to hear him moan. A living, walking skeleton he was when he came home. He was discharged in Kansas, the place called Fort Leavenworth, and he did return to Oakfield, the place he first came forth. How joyful were his parents when they saw their then lost one. The God of heaven was merciful to let return their son. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Little Andrew by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Air, Gypsy's Warning. Andrew was a little infant, and his life was 2 years old. He was his parents' eldest boy, and he was drowned, I was told. His parents never more can see him in this world of grief and pain, and oh, they will not forget him while on earth they do remain. On one bright and pleasant morning, his uncle thought it would be nice to take his dear little nephew down to play upon a raft, where he was to work upon it, and this little child would company be. The raft, the water rushed around it, yet he the danger did not see. This little child knew no danger, its little soul was free from sin. He was looking in the water, when alas, this child fell in. Beneath the raft the water took him, for the current was so strong, and before they could rescue him, he was drowned and was gone. Oh, how sad were his kind parents when they saw their drowned child. As they brought him from the water, it almost made their hearts grow wild. Oh, how mournful was the parting from that little infant son. Friends, I pray you, all take warning. Be careful of your little ones.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
William House and Family by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Algy Pug. Come all kind friends, both far and near, come listen to me and you shall hear. It's of a family and their fate, all about them I will relate. They once did live at Egerton, they once did live at Muskegon. From there they went to Chicago, which proved their fatal overthrow. It was William House's family, as fine a family as you see. His family was 11 in all. I do not think it was very small. 2 children died some years ago, before they went to Chicago. 5 children there he had with him, when death his home there enters in. The smallpox then was raging there, and oh, it would not their house spare, for all but one was sick of them. A dreadful house it must have been. The eldest girl was married then. The eldest boy was in Michigan. The second boy, he was at home, and took care of them all alone. His father and his mother dear, and dear sister too, I hear, were very sick and in his care, and no kind friends to help him there. 2 little brothers and a baby too, made 6 in all. What could he do? He had to take care of them all. The baby, too, was very small. As he would go to his father's bed, and try to soothe his aching head, "My son, I pray you leave me, do. Go take care of poor mother, do. Your mother and sister need your care, and your little infant brother there. Oh, Charlie, Charlie, take care of them. My son, do all for them you can." It seemed as though he did not know that his poor soul so soon must go, and leave his little ones he loved, to go to that bright world above. But God, he called his soul away. It had to leave, it could not stay. He never more on earth will be, his soul is from sin and sorrow free. Charles helped the sexton, I am told, to lay his form in the coffin cold. How sad, poor soul, was he, when last his father's form did see. Minnie House, she had to go, and leave her friends that loved her so. She was a girl just in her teens, a lovely flower as e'er was seen. Minnie and her mother lay on one bed, and when Charles said, "Our Minnie is dead," his mother then, she did grow wild, and early after knew her child. They buried Minnie by her father's side, and left them there where they had died. Charles took his mother and brothers then, and brought them back to Michigan. For the mother and the baby too, kind friends did all that they could do, but those poor souls they could not save, for now they're sleeping in their grave. Oh, what a noble son was he! His age was then only 16. Charles House's name I have told before. God bless his soul for evermore. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Orphan's Friend by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Come, all kind, good people, with sympathizing hearts. Come listen to a few kind words a friend to you imparts. Be kind to an orphan child, and always be its friend. You will be happy in this world, and will be to the end. Be kind to the motherless, little motherless ones, for God will forever bless you in this world to come. No kind and loving mother to soothe their little brow. Be kind to them always, friends, they have no mother now. Be kind to the fatherless, wherever you may find one little one that is friendless. I pray you all be kind, for it has no loving father to speak with mild reproof, or guide its youthful footsteps in honesty and truth. Be kind to the little orphans, they have no parents dear. Be kind to the little orphans, speak to them words of cheer. Then they will always love you for kind and gentle words. Then God will ever bless you, for he says so in his word.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Two Brave Soldiers by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. Air, the Texas Rangers. My friends, I pray you listen. A story I will tell. It's of two noble soldiers, and they were known full well. They were killed in the rebellion, as you shall plainly hear. Those brave and noble soldiers, no danger did they fear. They enlisted in Grand Rapids in 1862. 'Twas in the month of August, about the middle too. These two brave noble soldiers, they joined the cavalry. They fought to save their country, united it yet may be. One of them a single man, his name was Martin House. The other one was married, his name I'll tell you now. Abram Bishop was his name, he was a Christian man. Two soldiers, they were brave, and they hailed from Michigan. When they left their native place, their friends to them did say, Oh, do not go to war, boys, you'd better with us stay. For if you join the army, you never will return. To all your friends that love you, you never will return. Young House spoke unto his friends, I'd rather go, said he. I have no wife and children to weep and mourn for me. I hear my country calling for her sons of liberty, and I for one must go, friends, a coward I cannot be. We are not afraid of fighting the rebels, no, not we. They're bound to make our country a place for slaves to be. Our fathers fought before us to gain our liberty, and we, the sons of free men, must fight to keep it free. Farewell, farewell to all our friends that we may leave behind. If we do never return, we'll pray you bear in mind, if God sees fit to call us, we are not afraid to die. Our country she is calling, we must bid you all goodbye. It was in old Virginia those noble soldiers fell, in the battle of Hanover town, as many a man can tell. They fought through many battles, obeyed their captain's call. Alas, the missiles struck them and caused them both to fall. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Early Days of Rockford by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by thestorygirl. Air, Lucy Long. My friends, I pray you listen. I'll sing a little song about the village of Rockford. It will not take me long, and how it was first settled by enterprising men, and all the news about it. I'll tell you if I can. Situated in a wilderness with forests all around, 13 miles from Grand Rapids is this flourishing town. On the banks of Rogue River, where runs the water still, and in the early settled days was called Laphamville. First settled by Smith Lapham in 1843, then came the Hunter brothers to keep him company. Lapham and Hunter brothers built each a shingle mill. On the banks of Rogue River are the same old buildings still. In the early days of Rockford, they had to run a stage. They had no other conveyance to get from place to place. Now they go by railway. The cars run night and day. The early days of Rockford have nearly passed away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Grand Rapids Cricket Club by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. In Grand Rapids is a handsome club of men that cricket play, as fine a set of skilful men that can their skill display. They are the champions of the West, they think they are quite fine. They've won 100 honours well, it's their most cunning design. Brave Kelso, he's considered great, chief of the club he is found. Great crowds he draws to see him bowl the ball upon the ground. And Mr. Follett is very brave, a lighter player than the rest. He got struck severe at the fairground, for which he took a rest. When Mr. Dennis does play well, his courage is full great, and accidents to him occur, but not much though of late. This ball play is a dangerous game, brave knights to play it though. Those boys would be the nation's pride, if they to war would go. From Milwaukee their club did come, with thoughts of skill at play, but beat they was, and then went home, had nothing more to say. Grand Rapids Club that cricket play will soon be known afar. Much prouder do the members stand, like many a noble star. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Little Henry by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Erin Grassie. Air, Minnie Lee. Oh, come listen to my story of a little infant child. His spirit is in glory. It has left us for a while. Death has robbed us of our Henry. He is with our Savior now. Where there is no pain or sorrow comes to cloud his little brow. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. His cheeks were red as roses, and his eyes were black as coals. His little lips were red as rubies, and his little hair, it curled. Oh, they called him Little Charlie. He was full of joyful mirth. Now his little form is lying 'neath the cold and silent earth. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. It was the 11th of December on a cold and windy day, just at the close of evening when the sunlight fades away. Little Henry, he was dying. In his little crib he lay, with soft winds round him sighing, from the morn till close of day. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. Parents, brothers, sisters, weeping for their cup of sorrows full, and his little playthings keeping that he thought so beautiful. Tears from parents' eyes were starting for their little loving one. Oh, how painful was the parting from their little infant son. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. Oh, how often they have kissed him, and caressed his little brow, to his little voice have listened, but his place is vacant now. They called him Little Charlie, and his loving name they called, but they could not keep their darling from the loving Saviour's call. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. But they must now cease their mourning. His little soul is at rest, where there can no storms of trouble roll across his peaceful breast. Now his little form is sleeping in the cold and silent tomb, and his friends are left a-weeping in his dear and loving home. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. It was the 11th of December, 1870 was the year. Kind friends will all remember, silently let fall a tear. But we must not trouble borrow, for the God of heaven is just. No one knows a parent's sorrow till a child some friend have lost. God has took their little treasure, and his name I'll tell you now. He has gone from earth forever, their little Charles Henry House. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Be Kind to the Little Ones by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Seagull Gracie. Be kind to the little ones, ere he folds them on his bosom. Be kind to all little ones, all fathers, mothers dear. Be kind to your little ones, their little hearts to cheer. For oh, you know not how soon their place will vacant be. If God should call one to his home, your conscience would be free. Their little forms are tender, they're at your mercy now. They need your kind attention to watch them every hour. While they are little infants, my friends, take time to spare. Do not forget an instant to give them tender care. God, he never did intend you to misuse your child. Their little souls to you he sends to bless you for a while. And if you always will be kind to them, sweet little ones, oh, what a blessing you will find in after years to come. You never, never will repent, dear friend, for being kind. Those little ones to you were sent, and always bear in mind that God may call your little ones and leave you here behind. Oh, what a happy thought will come. I always have been kind. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Red Ribbon by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. The red ribbon is all the go. It's the temperance sign, you know. It is seen wherever you go, on men who dare do right. Dare to do right. Dare to do right. Let your motto ever be, dare to do right. It's no disgrace to wear that badge of red ribbon, dear youthful lad. Your mother's heart it will make glad to see you dare do right. Dare to do right. Dare to do right. Let your motto ever be, dare to do right. Young friend, don't fail to sign the pledge and don the badge of ribbon red, and leave some ways you have led. Always dare do right. Dare to do right. Dare to do right. Let your motto ever be, dare to do right. Friends that love you is glad to see that you can let vile strong drink be. Their hearts rejoice in highest glee to see you dare do right. Dare to do right. Dare to do right. Let your motto ever be, dare to do right. 3 cheers for all red ribbon men, and also those that is their friend. God will be with you to the end. He's ever on the right. Dare to do right. Dare to do right. Let your motto ever be, dare to do right.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Carrie Monro by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Janie Greene. Carrie Monro, ere Belle Mahone. Once there was a lady fair, with black eyes and curly hair. She has left this world of care, sweet Carrie Monro. Sweet Carrie Monro, dear Carrie Monro, and her friends will not forget sweet Carrie Monro. Now those friends miss Carrie here, for she was loved both far and near. She has left them all in tears, sweet Carrie Monro. Sweet Carrie Monro, dear Carrie Monro, and her friends will not forget sweet Carrie Monro. Carrie's age was 23, a married lady too was she. A mournful parting had to be from Carrie Monro. Sweet Carrie Monro, dear Carrie Monro, and her friends will not forget sweet Carrie Monro. It's just before her spirit fled, her husband stood by her bed. Prove faithful, Bertie, to me, said sweet Carrie Monro. Sweet Carrie Monro, dear Carrie Monro, and her friends will not forget sweet Carrie Monro. Sad will memory pass o'er that love form that is no more. She's waiting on the other shore, loved Carrie Monro. Sweet Carrie Monro, dear Carrie Monro, and her friends will not forget sweet Carrie Monro. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Little Minnie by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Janie Greene. Little Minnie, ere in the cottage by the sea, Come listen to a painful story a mother is going to tell, for her heart is overflowing for that one she loves so well. It's of a little infant daughter, mild and lovely, bright and fair. She has left this world forever, left this world of grief and care. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. Oh, how sadly we'll remember on a bright and pleasant day, it was the very last of summer that her spirit fled away, fled from the earth forever, gone to dwell with him above, where little angels dwell together in his everlasting love. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. Oh, we miss our little Minnie, with blue eyes and flaxen hair. Oh, we loved our little Minnie, and we miss her everywhere. Yes, we miss her at the table, every morning, noon, and night, where she sat with us together, for she was our heart's delight. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. On the 25th of August, 1873, God he called her then to leave us, and a parting had to be. The day it was declining, the sun was down behind the trees. Little Minnie was dying, her little soul it had to leave. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. Left this world of earthly trouble, and her friends that loved her dear. Father, mother, sister, brother, her place with them is vacant here. Her little soul is at rest forever in our Father's heavenly home. Her little form is sweetly sleeping in the cold and silent tomb. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. Oh, she was our eldest daughter. She was handsome to behold. Everyone that knew her loved her, and her age was 4 years old, and we miss her merry laughter. Through the house she used to roam. That little one will not forget her in our dear and loving home. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. Oh, how oft times we have kissed her and caressed her little form. God of heaven knows we loved her from the day that she was born. On a day of independence, 1869, God he gave to us a present of that little girl so fine. Alone, all alone, in the graveyard she is sleeping, that little one we love so well. God her little soul is keeping, for he doeth all things well. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Centennial Celebration by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Alan Mapstone. In the year 1876, a 4th of July celebration was held in Grand Rapids City in honor of our nation. The largest city in the county of Kent, in this city, and it is respected, for thousands of people were here to see the beautiful arch erected. The Centennial Arch on Campo Place was the most principal feature. It was a grand, beautiful sight to all human sensitive creatures, to all the people that love to read the mottos on it painted, the engravings too, and tell what each one represented. The paintings and the mottos on the arch was viewed by many people. It was Colonel Joseph Penny's design, and his work could not be equalled. Mr. C.H. Gifford was architect. He formed the noble structure, a memento to the centennial year, a pride of our nation's culture. A cabin was built too, I believe, that nicely represented, one that the traders built years ago. This was the only one invented. 10,000 people respected it, this token of early years with pay. The honour of this little hut was due to Mr. Godfroy. The Stars and Stripes was honoured too, for from 1,000 windows waving, that dear old flag, red, white and blue, that's loved throughout our nation. That same flag for 100 years has waved over our nation. May God let it forever wave over our Union celebration. The people in the city, friends, was an honour to our nation, for they all joined heart and hand in our Union celebration. Some gave money, others labour, to maintain what was intended. It was a success, some people said, who here that day attended. That day will never be forgot by the people of Kent County. God bless the people who joined that day in the honour of our country. The people in the city, friends, dearly loved this nation, for they saved no time or expense in our centennial celebration. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Maryette Myers by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Anita Hibbard. Maryette Myers. Air, Lily of the West. Come all you sympathizing friends, wherever you may be, I pray you pay attention and listen unto me, for it's of a fair young lady, she died, she went to rest. She was called handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. Her name was Maryette Myers, and her age I do not know. Her cheeks were red as roses, her eyes were black as sloes. She was loved by all surrounding friends, and some that loved her best, they called her handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. She was a fair young damsel, as ever you wish to see, and in the circle of her friends they miss her company. They miss the merry laughter of that loved one gone to rest. They called her handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. She was before the looking-glass, poor girl, her hair to comb. She was taken blind, she nearly fell, she only gave a moan. Her friends they caught her in their arms and laid her down to rest. She was the handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. She was away from home, and her mother dear had come to see her darling daughter, her dear loving one. She left a true lover, a lover with the rest, that loved this handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. She was buried on her wedding day, these words a friend gave. Her lover went as a mourner to her grave. His name was Forrest Dilly, a young man over west. He loved this handsome Maryette, the lily of the West. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Dear Old Flag by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Oh, we love that dear old flag that our forefathers gave. Over 100 years ago, boys, they once stood under that dear flag, but now they are in their graves, sleeping their everlasting sleep, boys. The Union forever! Hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitors, up with the stars, for we love that dear old flag that our fathers fought to save when they were fighting for our freedom. We will rally around its standard every 4th day of July, for we dearly love our nation. We love to see the stars and stripes a-waving up on high over our Union celebration. The Union forever! Hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitors! Up with the stars! For we love that dear old flag that our fathers fought to save when they were fighting for our freedom. 3 cheers for the Union and the red, white, and blue, and our forefathers that formed the Constitution. May the flag forever wave o'er our native land so true. May God protect our flag and nation. The Union forever! Hurrah, boys, hurrah! Down with the traitors! Up with the stars! For we love that dear old flag that our fathers fought to save when they were fighting for our freedom.
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Libby Prison by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Hedrick. Air, the Soldier's Orphan Boy. Down south the Libby Prison stood, the rebels' filthy den. Rebs in battle prisoners took, of course our Union men. And our brave boys, hardy and hale, to prison had to go, and few have lived to tell the tale of misery and woe. This prison was a horrid place. Many brave boys died there. In rags and filth and wretchedness, they died for want of care. Many a brave and noble man, as he lay sick and sore, was thinking of his friends and home he never would see more. Fathers, brothers, young husbands dear, went through that prison door. Some lived to return home, we hear, and others are no more. Many a noble soldier died in Libby prison cell, and comrades perished side by side, as many a man can tell. No loving hand was near a couch to bathe an aching head, no loving friend to watch the hours or soothe their dying bed, no friend to wipe the fallen tears from off the dewy face, no loving kindred was there near to mark their resting place. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Hattie House by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Hedrick. Air, Lily Dale. Come all kind friends, wherever you may be, come listen to what I say. It's of a little girl that was pleasant to see, and she died while outdoors at play. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. She had blue eyes and light flaxen hair, her little heart was light and gay. She said to her mother that morning fair, Mother, can I go out and play? Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. Her mother tied her bonnet on, not thinking it would be the last she would ever see her dear little one in this world, little Hattie House. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. She left the house, this dear little girl, on that bright and pleasant day. She went to play with 2 little girls that were near about her age. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, May the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. She was not gone but a little while when they heard her playmates call. Her friends hastened there to save the child. Alas, she was dead and gone. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. Those little girls will not forget the day little Hattie died, for she was with them when she fell in a fit while playing by their side. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. She was her parents' only child, and her age was near 6 years, and now she has left them for a while, left all her friends in tears. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. She has left this world of grief and woe, dear friends she has left behind. She is waiting on the other shore to meet them by and by. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. One fine morning, the 5th of July, the summer flowers were in bloom. 1871, little Hattie died and is sleeping in her tomb. Oh, Hattie, dear Hattie, sweet little Hattie House, may the flowers ever bloom o'er the little tomb of our loved one, Hattie House. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Little Susan by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Hedrick. Air, the pride of Kildare. Once there was a little girl, and her friends loved her dear. Her parents loved their little one, she did their hearts cheer. They loved their little darling, and with them she did roam. They called her Little Susan, the pride of their home. Blue eyes had little Susan, and light flaxen hair, and she was a pleasant child to see, so beautiful and fair. With her parents she will nevermore on earth with them roam. They loved their little Susan, the pride of their home. Her parents had more children, there were 9 of them all. There are 8 of them living, for God but one called. The flower of their family God called to his home. It was their little Susan, the pride of their home. Her friends will not forget her, though she died years ago. It was John H. Moore's daughter. Her age was 4 years old. She is waiting in heaven, waiting for her friends to come and be with their little Susan, the pride of their home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Young Henry by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Hedrick. Air, drummer boy of Waterloo. Young Henry was as faithful boy as ever stood on American soil, and he did enlist without a doubt when the rebellion was broke out. He was his parents' only son, and only child he was but one. That was a girl aged 17. Henry called her his May Queen. Young Henry said, "Dear sister May, what do you think my friends will say? For now my name is on the roll, and I down south will have to go." "I hear my country's call," said he, "for all her sons of liberty, and I forever will prove true to that dear old flag, red, white, and blue. I love my father and mother dear. I leave you, May, to their heart's cheer. When I am gone, pray do not mourn, if I should never return home." His sister then to him did say, "My only brother, blithe and gay, our country calls from afar. May God protect you through the war. Their father, hearing all was said, it made his noble heart grow sad. My children, I love both of you, and yet I love my country too. My son, if I was young again, I never could at home remain, and see my native land now free, dissolved and made in slavery. Young Henry left his father's home, and left his friends for him to mourn. A captain of a little band, he marched away from Michigan. In the battle of Fredericksburg, above the battle roar was heard. Fight on, brave boys, he cried. I am shot and wounded, and must die. They placed his head upon the grass, so he could see his brave boys pass. Go tell my father, Henry's slain, to keep him from the rebels' chain. They dug his grave beneath that spot, they wrapped him in his soldier's coat, and while the battle drums they heard, they laid him low at Fredericksburg. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Ashtabula Disaster by Julia A. Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Jim Hedrick. Air, gently down the stream of time. Have you heard of the dreadful fate of Mr. P.P. Bliss and wife? Of their death I will relate, and also others lost their life. Ashtabula Bridge disaster, where so many people died, without a thought that destruction would plunge them 'neath the wheel of tide. Swiftly passed the engine's call, hastening souls on to death, warning not one of them all, it brought despair right and left. Among the ruins are many friends, crushed to death amidst the roar. On one thread all may depend, and hope they've reached the other shore. P.P. Bliss showed great devotion to his faithful wife, his pride. When he saw that she must perish, he died a martyr by her side. Swiftly passed the engine's call, hastening souls on to death, warning not one of them all, it brought despair right and left. P.P. Bliss went home above, left all friends, earth and fame, to rest in God's holy love, left on earth his work and name. The people love his work by numbers, it is read by great and small. He by it will be remembered, he has left it for us all. Swiftly passed the engine's call, hastening souls on to death, warning not one of them all, it brought despair right and left. His good name from time to time will rise on land and sea. It is known in distant climes, let it echo wide and free. One good man among the number found sweet rest in a short time. His weary soul may sweetly slumber within the veil heaven sublime. Swiftly passed the engine's call, hastening souls on to death, warning not one of them all, it brought despair right and left. Destruction lay on every side, confusion, fire, and despair. No help, no hope, so they died, 200 people over there. Many ties was there broken, many a heart was filled with pain. Each one left a little token, for above they live again. Swiftly passed the engine's call, hastening souls on to death, warning not one of them all, it brought despair right and left. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. End of The Sentimental Songbook by Julia A. Moore.